Greetings, Earthlings! Welcome back to 7th Street. It is the 40-year anniversary of one of the greatest graduating classes in horror movie history, 1980. So I thought that it would be fun if we took a look at 7th Street Productions' top 5 favorite horror movies from the year 1980. Cannibal Holocaust.
You're about to witness an ancient ritual never before seen by civilized man. The tribe is a primitive social unit, bound together by the basic needs of survival.
Ruggero Deodato's Cannibal Classic, the movie that single-handedly popularized the found footage genre and the cannibal epic. It was one of the most scrutinized films during the Video Nasties crusade and almost landed its director in jail under suspicion that he had killed his cast. This is a landmark film in every sense of the word.
It's unbelievable. It's horrible. I can't understand the reason for such cruelty. It must have something to do with some obscure sexual rite or with the almost profound respect these primitives have for virginity.
There was zero chance that Cannibal Holocaust wasn't going to make the list. This Mondo-style gore fest is one of the few films that never stops being unnerving. It's just a difficult film to watch, no matter how many times you've seen it. The beautiful score by Ritz Ordelante, juxtaposed with Deodato's graphic nihilism, combines for a complete assault of the senses. The first time I saw this movie was back in 2010 on All Hallows Eve at the Hollywood Theater in Portland, Oregon, watching the last remaining glorious 35mm print. I got slightly stoned with my friend Ian before the show, and boy, that was an experience like no other. Cannibal Holocaust is a must for any true horror fan.
I wonder who the real cannibals are.
Number 4, Maniac.
But you stop him, don't you? I can't stop him. But you do, don't you?
Joe Spinell is the man. His life story is incredible and inspiring to anyone who wants to be an actor. Mostly a character actor, Spinell offers a brilliant performance as the lead, Frank Zito, a sweaty, overweight, emotionally damaged psycho serial killer. It's the directorial debut of William Lustig, who does a pretty decent job of capturing the grimy, sleazy streets of New York City. The brilliant thing about this movie is that it follows the villain of the film the entire time. The story is told through his eyes, and somehow it still works. Usually asking your audience to connect with a gross, mentally disturbed killer is a recipe for disaster, but in this movie, it works wonderfully. You also have to applaud Tom Savini for his work here. Maniac contains some of the most realistic and unrestrained gore effects that I've ever seen. Probably the best up until the time of its release. Here you get explicitly bloody murders and scalpings, plus a showstopper head being blown off with a shotgun. Day of the Dead is often considered Savini's best work, and it is, but sometimes I feel like Maniac is a decently close second. The Prowler is one that gets a lot of attention, but I honestly find the effects in Maniac to be far more effective.
So you won't go away ever again?
Number 3, Night of the Zombies. I know, I'm in the minority here. No one seems to have the deep connection with this little Italian oddity the way that I do. Bruno Mattei's Night of the Zombies, or Hell of the Living Dead, is not just one of my favorite zombie movies, but it's one of my favorite horror movies in general. I've talked about this film extensively on this channel. It has made appearances on my Reference This Film series, my 31 Days of Halloween, my Italian Deep Cuts list, and my favorite zombie movie list.
Stop wasting your damn bullets, you jerks! You need to hit their heads! I told you! Say it like this!
At this point, I'm not really sure what else I can say about it. I saw this movie on my 9th birthday with my cousin and my two best friends at the time, Lauren and Ben. As a kid, I was in love with zombie movies and had seen the Romero Big Three, but I was not prepared for the graphic, sleazy nature of Italian zombie films. This movie grossed me out and frankly frightened me. The jungle environment really adds to the anxiety of the film for whatever reason. The concept of these commandos being lost and surrounded by flesh-eating zombies in the jungle was just something that really appealed to me. Man, this one is just so much fun. It's not expertly crafted in any one aspect, but Mattei is a good enough director to make it all work. It's action-packed and nihilistic with boobs and gore galore. If you haven't seen this one, or just haven't seen it in a while, do me a favor and give it a go again. It's a hoot.
Don't let it worry you! I think you will all meet again! In hell!
Number 2, The Gates of Hell.
The dead! I see the dead! City of the dead!
On some days, Lucio Fulci's The Gates of Hell is my favorite movie of his. Most of the time, that title is held by Zombie 2, but The Gates of Hell is a close second. This is yet another one that I've talked about a lot on this channel. I did an old Reference This Film episode on it, one that I'm not the biggest fan of, and it's been featured on my 31 Days of Halloween list. Unlike Zombie, The Gates of Hell focuses more on atmosphere and dreamy landscape than it does story. Sergio Salvetti did an excellent job as the director of photography here. Although some of the scenes may be a little dark, most of the film is very well photographed. The scenes with the camera moving around town are eerie, with that blue light fog through the empty streets. The shots of the underground cemetery are definitely one of the most eeriest scenes. Don't go into this one looking for a detailed story. It's about a priest that hangs himself, the gates of hell open, zombie-like ghosts rise, and all sorts of bad things happen. That's about the extent of it. This movie is about entering a world with some of the greatest atmosphere that I've ever seen in a horror movie. Fulci is really on point with this one. Number 1, The Shining. As I've mentioned before, Stanley Kubrick's The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time. Also, I think I've mentioned before that it's extremely hard for me to talk about and or review this film because it's been analyzed to the moon and back, literally.
I'm very confused.
There are appropriately no words strong enough to convey the haunting beauty of the visuals showcased throughout this movie. From the drive to the Overlook Hotel to the final chase in the hedge maze, this movie is a feast for the eyes as well as the mind.
Come play with us, Daddy. Forever and ever and ever.
This is one of Jack Nicholson's finest roles. His unhinged, psychotic character is both amusing and terrifying in equal measures. Shelley Duvall also turns out a terrific performance in this movie, so much so that I can't possibly see another actor in the role of Wendy. It's pretty widely known that Stephen King dislikes this adaptation of his novel, but I can't help thinking that it's because Kubrick may have made it better. The King novel is much more of a straightforward ghost story, but Kubrick lends his typical surreal, disturbing flavor that he's known for, making the movie at times disorienting and terrifying, much the same way that Jack Torrance must feel while under the spell of the Overlook Hotel.
I'm gonna bash him right the fuck in.
Luckily, I live in Portland, Oregon, and the hotel that was used for the movie's exteriors is like right in my backyard, so I've visited the place multiple times. Actually, I was just working on the set of an indie horror comedy as an actor, and during one of our breaks, some of us ran out to the hotel just to take some pictures. Believe it or not, I do see my fair share of naysayers when it comes to The Shining, but let me say this now, Stanley Kubrick is a genius. In my personal opinion, he's the greatest filmmaker of all time. No, he's not my favorite director, he's not even in my top 5, but he's probably the most talented filmmaker that's ever lived, and The Shining is without a doubt the best horror film of the 1980 graduating class.
You've had your whole fucking life to think things over. What good's a few minutes more gonna do you now?
Well, that's it, guys. That was my top 5 favorite list for horror movies from the year 1980. Make sure that you follow us on Facebook and on Instagram. We also have a Patreon page, find 7th Street Productions there. Shout out to our newest patron, Harold Webb. Check out some of our original content, some of our original horror films, short films, and feature films, and keep your eye out for other videos coming soon. Until next time, guys.
Don't be ridiculous. Bodies don't get up and walk away by themselves.